Veritas Aquitus by Bonesboy 15, Chapter 15. Friends, let me see if I have this straight. The tall, overbearing form of James Arnwood began slowly as he paced in Professor Ospin's office behind the all-male team of first-year students that did not belong in his school. Why was he here to debrief the team that Ospin had singled out? Well, two of his machines, one supposedly a project that was still top secret, were discovered and witnessed alongside the teenagers in the rampage. To say General Arnwood was not a happy camper would be an understatement. The man was beyond livid. Arnwood walked around and stopped in front of Team Knox. Roman Torchwick, one of Remnant's most wanted criminals today, has in his possession at least two or more Paladin 290s, as well as perhaps any other pieces that Atlas has yet to reveal. Kurama said bluntly. The glare aimed at him did little to make him sweat. He wasn't going to mince words just because the man was a general of another nation's army. Hell, he blamed the man for this whole scenario, not to mention that they are being sold or even given to both the White Fang and the Fourth War. So much for, what did your speech at the CCT say? Ensuring peace and ending the terrorism. Kurama, Naruto warned the faunus. What? Am I wrong? Kurama's hidden eyes remained focused on the steeled face of the Legion General. How's it feel to know your toys are the cause for putting, how many was it? 30 people in the hospital and 15 in the ground? Kurama! Naruto sent a dark look to his teammate that silenced the fox-tailed teen. Naruto looked at Professor Ospin, who remained seated at his desk with a calculated look on his face. This isn't the point. The fact that Torchhead, the White Fang, and the Fourth War are not only assisting one another in obtaining illegal or even advanced tech, but we can confirm that the White Fang and the Fourth War are unified under Torchhead's mysterious group. This group is funding both factions, and while they're not directly working together, they're not opposing one another either. Indeed, a troublesome thought, Ospin said calmly. He sat back in his chair and took hold of his tea bag. Before he took a sip, Ospin locked eyes with Naruto once more. You and your team are dismissed, Mr. Uzumaki. Thank you, sir. Naruto nodded. Back before Team Nox stood and left as one. Once the doors had shut behind the teens, Arnwood turned and frowned at Ospin. We need to know more. I need to know what they know about that Fourth War operative they said had remotely operated the King E-401. From our engineer's words, that shouldn't be possible. Yet it is, Ospin said as he set his mug down and watched Arnwood's gaze. Naruto is right, James. You're blinding yourself from the real threat. What real threat? Legion weaponry, top secret Legion projects are being stolen from right under my nose. Arnwood countered heatedly. He slammed his gloved fist down on the desk, causing a dent to be formed. That is the threat, Ospin. There are things that scientists in Atlas have developed that would certainly end the treaty, and I know for a fact the other countries have done the same. James, Ospin cut in as he shot up from his seat and glared at the man. Focus. I am aware of the Cold War we went through. I lived in it as much as you have. What we must do is prevent this from starting another war. That is why we united in the first place, is it not, General? The two held a hard gaze with each other for a long while. Finally, Arnwood clenched his jaw and backed away. And then tell me what I'm missing, Osp. Torchwick is not in command. We know this, and we have an idea, an inkling as to who is. Ospin calmly explained as he sat back down. What we don't know is her endgame. We don't know why she has prevented the White Fang and Fourth War from raising arms against one another. If she had wanted to resist the war, then she would have set them against one another by now. Maybe she still does, and is just waiting for the right time, Arnwood suggested. Perhaps, but there's the possibility that there's another reason, another goal. Ospin interlaced his hands together and frowned. The threat we must concern ourselves with is not the future, though. It is here in the present with us. Get to the point, Os. What is it? Arnwood asked tiredly. Ospin looked up at him and then down at his mug. The two most notable terrorist organizations today have banded together. That is the threat, Arnwood. They can speak with one another, coordinate, plan attacks to further spread the anger, destruction, distrust, and fear among those that already feel such a way about them and the species they represent. Then what do we do, Oz? Continue to let your children run amok? Let my machines get stolen and go on a rampage in other countries under another's banner? The Council of Atlas will want answers, Ospin. As will the Council of Vale, Mistral, and Bakuo James. We will deal with them as we always have. Tell the brutal truth to their faces and scare them into listening to our advice. It hasn't stopped working yet, has it? You're a very shrewd man, Oz. I hope you know that. Are you complaining about our methods? On the contrary, I'm complimenting you. Arnwood smiled and sat down across from Ospen. He took the offered mug of tea and pulled the flask from his jacket. As Arnwood emptied a portion of his flask into his drink, he continued to speak. Have you heard anything more from our informative crow or our mangy mutt? Nothing since the investigation into one of my teams began. Unfortunately, it has yet to reveal any results. Osmond sighed and set his mug down. He looked up at the general. What do you think of them? I have to concur with Glenn's assessment. Ironwood drawled. Explain. For one thing, the intelligence agent has an attitude problem, especially towards authority figures. A rebel, if I ever saw one. Keeping him in line will not be easy, even for you, especially for you, since you're juggling this project, Summer's daughter, and the Ark Boy. Ye of little faith, what would you call me when I was younger? An obedient pup that jumped at the chance to please his masters? Ironwood gave his fellow headmaster a dry look. Oz, there's disrespect, and then there's a younger you. You were a hellion, as is he. Osmond smiled as he tapped his fingers, and then gestured to the general. Please, do continue to give your opinion. Well, then there's the lad's partner. His psyche profile is concerning, especially when it comes to the line between justice and vengeance, mostly due to the event that occurred to him when he was younger. Ironwood said. He sighed and idly used a pencil to stir his drink. And then we come to the former student of the demon. May I remind you that his case was closed? Osmond cut in before he took a sip of his coffee. The way you may remind me all you want, Oz. I still agree with Glinda. There's a difference between allowing his misguided youth leaving terrorist cells when they knew nothing else and allowing a mercenary's apprentice to come to your school. Not only that, but to put him with their son, it's a dangerous gamble, Osmond. You know how Fog Academy works. I do, and it is for that reason alone I allow him to stay. He has grown spectacularly. His presence among his team is an anchor as much as that of the others. They are a fine chain. Yes, attached to a king's flail. Ironwood looked down at the table and brought up an image. That boy is undoubtedly their son. He is unpredictable and very hard to deter from action, like his mother, but has the drive and cunning mind of his father, Osmond countered. He's too emotional. I prefer to see it as inspirational. He caused an entire city to go on lockdown for 5 days, Oz, over a bowl of noodles. Ironwood stared at the man across from him gravely. What would he do if his friends died, if someone he cared for was killed, if his family was taken captive? I would pray that those responsible were smart enough to not advertise it, Osmond said wryly, a smile on his face. And if not, then I would pray that no one would be stupid enough to stand in his path. It's a big gamble, Oz. That's all I'm saying. You're just mad that I have them. Just pour me some more tea, damn it. I forfeit. Naruto looked up from the note he was writing in his scroll to scowl at the silver-haired teen he knew to be a criminal in disguise. It had been a few days since the incident with Torchwick and the mysterious member of the Fourth War. Blake and Son had slipped off to a couple of White Fang meetings since then, carefully disguised in this time, while Kurenai acted as the reluctant transport. Naruto gave his assigned teacher/overseer credit. Asuma had to have used some powerful persuasion and never brought it up to the other teachers. However, Naruto was more concerned with the now than he was with the investigation. He cupped his hands around his mouth and jeered loudly as the match was called. Don't be a bitch, Mr. Uzumaki, which voice echoed through the arena that they stood in. Several others joined in after Naruto's cry. Chief among them was John. John had trained with both Pira, Guy, and Team Nikos enough to know when someone was feeling out an opponent. It was one of the lessons Naruto helped teach, and one of the most painful John had limped home from. Naruto didn't hold back as much as Pira and Guy did. The lesson was learned, and John didn't like to see his teammate put under that sort of radar. Boo! What's wrong, Mercy? Afraid of the invincible girl? Lame. Grow a set. If you start something, you should finish it, pretty boy. Enough. Goodwitch called out with a crack of her crop. Mercury hardly seemed fazed by the insults, though he had a smirk plastered on his face. The guy all but embodied the word a douchebag. I swear, if he wasn't the lion scumbag, I think he was related to you, Uchiha, Kurama mumbled. Naruto snorted in agreement and went back to his scroll, while Sasuke flipped both of them off. The worst part is that he's not even acting. Haku mumbled. He had been spying on Emerald, Cinder, and Mercury for the past 2 nights with his semblance. However, they all seemed to be aware someone was watching them. Naruto pulled him from the duty when he suggested one was another sensor or had a skill like it. Haku, come on. Sasuke groaned. Aren't you supposed to be on my side? I am on your side, Sasuke. Haku smiled at the boy. It's not my fault that you happen to behave like the douchebag down there. Naruto, what did you do? He was fine until you guys started to spar. Don't even try it, Sasuke. You broke him first. Ladies, as entertaining as it is to hear you two bicker over your broken toy, can we go on? Kurama asked with a smirk as the two gave him the bird. Ah, look, you can count to 2. Shut up, Kurama, Naruto muttered as they rose and began to file out. Naruto quickly led his team towards Team Ruby. He grimaced as they rounded a corner and a familiar mint-haired girl leaned against the pillar. His gaze went to Yang, who saw the girl and moved towards her. Naruto hasted his pace and quickly caught his blonde girlfriend by the arm, forcing her to walk with him past Emerald. Naruto, Yang began with a scowl aimed at her boyfriend. Yang, not now. Not yet. Naruto hissed back while he felt Emerald's red eyes slung onto them. Naruto ignored the feeling and quickly slipped his arm around Yang's waist when she turned to glare back at the girl. Oh, that's got a sting, Mercury mused with a smirk as she walked up to his mid-haired companion. Seeing Dex's new arm warmer, says the bitch. Emerald shot back with a dull glare aimed at her partner. Mercury smirked. Woof. Get neutered. And end up like that guy's balls? No, I'd rather I know where mine are than have them in some chick's purse. Emerald groaned and walked away. You're an ass. I knew you were staring. Shut up, Mercury. So, about the dance, Yang began as they walked out of Beacon's arena behind their teams. Yang, I already agreed to take you. I'll get a stupid monkey suit and everything. Naruto mumbled sourly. That was an argument he did not want to think about. His voice still hurt from how tightly Yang grabbed them. Grab him by the balls was the figure of speech for a reason, damn it. Good, but there's another problem. Yang's eyes looked over at Blake just as Sun pulled her aside. She beamed him. Or maybe not. No, yeah, there's a problem. Naruto sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. Blake had flatly and coldly denied Sun's awkward and excited attempt to ask her out. Sun's head hung and he slunk off back to his team while Blake walked back toward the dormitories. Aw man, poor Sun. Blake would not turn him down if she was in her right state of mind. I thought letting her and Sun sneak off for the past few nights would do her some good after the whole mech fight thing. Yang muttered sourly. She sighed and rested her head on Naruto's shoulder. I thought boys were supposed to be the clueless ones. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto asked with a frown aimed at his girlfriend. Yang grinned at him. Nothing, Whisker Boy. So anyway, there was another thing I wanted to ask you. We're still kind of missing entertainment. We could go prank Cardinal again. I meant for the dance, Naruto. And your point is? Yang groaned and palmed her face. Never mind. I'll just let Weiss take care of it. Naruto gave her a confused look. The dance was something that Team Coffee was originally supposed to organize. This changed when their away mission was extended for longer longer than they anticipated. Weiss and Yang scooped up the challenge, and that meant Naruto was supposed to help when it came to crunch time. Oh, the joys of hanging light fixtures entertained him to no end. However, the preparations of the dance was something Yang enjoyed to do, and aside from Weiss being Weiss every now and then, it wasn't really all that bad. Playing the part of a dutiful boyfriend, Naruto decided to pry. What do you need? He asked. It's nothing, Whisker Boy. Weiss can figure it out. Naruto gave Yang a dry look. Yang, not only are you planning the dance of the year with your friend, but you are going to meddle, rightfully so, in your partner's love life. If I can lighten your load in any way I can, let me. Yang smiled at him. You're sweet, Naruto. No, don't let Ruby hear you say that. She'll try to eat me. She can try. I got first dibs. Naruto grinned at her. Is that a promise? Yang shoved him lightly. Maybe. Depends if you can do this favor for me. Name it, and I promise to do whatever it is you desire. Naruto said with his grin still in place. Yang arched her brow and matched his grin. Even if I ask you to strip naked and streak across campus? Psh, as if I haven't already done that before, Naruto scoffed. He smirked lightly as he thought back about that day. Oh, it was a Tuesday morning. Those 3rd years will never forget. He got a lot of lady friends that day. Shame he had to give the numbers to Sasuke after he lost the bet of not getting caught. Then again, Naruto was with Yang now, so it balanced out, he supposed. Yeah, right. Yang rolled her eyes and gave him a look of disbelief. I'd have heard about it and your punishment by now if you did. I did. It was on the school side for about 10 minutes before Good Witch pulled it, Naruto pouted. Then she made me walk around dressed like a butler. He grabbed his head. I can still feel the horrible hair gel she used to comb my hair, the itch, the burn, the un-Naruto-ish hair. Where was I when this all happened? Yang asked with a frown. I think in either Oobleck's or Peach's class. Naruto shrugged. I was hiding for the rest of the day after that. Plus, no one recognized me with my hair so anti-me. How does no one else know about this? My team knows, but they don't risk the retribution I will bestow upon them if they say anything. As for everyone else, Naruto shrugged. Good Witch probably scared everyone into silence. I did run right through her classroom first. Yang gasped in horror and then pointed at him. Wait a minute, does this mean that Professor Good Witch has seen your junk before I have? I guess so, Naruto mused. He grinned and interlaced his hands behind his head. I'm extremely proud of myself. I made the librarian blush. That lucky old. Yang frowned heavily and crossed her arms over her chest as she began to grumble to herself. She gave Naruto a dark glower as he chuckled at her. Can't believe you didn't share that with me sooner. Well, we're not exactly as promiscuous as we poise ourselves, Naruto said pointedly with a knowing grin that Yang gave a huff to. He and Yang may have done some heavy petting, but that was it. No clothes came off at all during their alone time. There was a lot of temptation, especially when they flirted with each other like this, but they both had a silent agreement that they weren't ready. It had yet to be a full month since they started dating after all. There was such a thing as too soon. I'm not going to lie and say that a photo wouldn't be nice, Yang muttered. Naruto arched a brow. Go ask a third year for one. I bet they have photos. They're all off preparing for the dance or on missions of their own, she returned. Yang let out a frustrated whine and stomped her foot. This is so not fair. Well, I can make it up to you, Naruto said slyly. Either I help you with the dance or I streak again. You wouldn't dare. Yang frowned at him. You'd be banned from the dance, and I'd have to find another date. There's a reason that grabbing by the balls is a saying only, Naruto returned with a gravely serious look on his face. He was not going to let the injustice to his voice stand. He was not a spineless fool. This was a stand for all of mankind, and a test to see which was stronger, Yang's inner romantics or Yang's lust. But the literal sense is far more effective. Offers going once, Naruto held up a finger. Oh crap, you're serious? Going twice? Fine, God, Yang said with a sigh. I'll wait until after the dance to see you naked. So she's a romantic. Good to know. Naruto grinned at his girlfriend and wrapped an arm over her shoulders. So, what can your streaking boyfriend do to help with the dance? Yang gave him a small dirty look before she smirked lightly. We need entertainment, music, a DJ or band, something. Naruto blinked. Is that all? Piece of cake. Yang arched her brow. What do you know the archive men or something? Naruto gave her a dry look. You're a fan of theirs, aren't you? Maybe. Of all the flaws you could have, one had to be your taste in music, didn't it? It's not the music I'm a fan of. Now it was Naruto's turn to give Yang a dirty look. Yang gave him a challenging grin. You walked into it. I know, Naruto said with a sigh. He rubbed his neck. Well, can't fault you for that. I was into Britney Spears for a while when I was younger. A dry look replaced the smirk on Yang's face. Really? What? Wait, that vid for her song, Your Master, was hot. Still is, actually. Naruto grinned lightly as he stared off at nothing. Very hot. I wouldn't know, haven't seen it. Yang shrugged, sure she'd heard the song before, but the music video wasn't something she wanted to see. I'll show you it later, but until then, I can cover the music. Naruto mused with a grin. He slipped a hand into his jacket pocket and tapped his scroll while thoughts raced through his head. As long as you don't wear a bare head, it'll be fine. Can do. I'm sorry, I thought I heard something stupider than normal come out of your mouth. Can you repeat that? Sasuke asked, disbelief plain to see on his face. Naruto rolled his eyes. Oh, come on, man. Don't act like it won't be fun. You're right, it won't be fun. We'll have to put hours of work in our only free day just so that you can win brownie points with your girlfriend. Not just for her, but for all the girls, man. You do this right, and you can finally find that special someone to fill Sakura's space. Naruto then looked at his other two teammates, who were still a bit off kilter from his first request. Speaking of, has anyone seen her around yet? She's in a special medical school in Bakuo, not a Huntress Academy, Kurama said. He rubbed his eyes with one hand. Naruto, do you have any idea how hard it would be to actually pull this off? Naruto tilted his head and thought about it for a moment before he looked back at Kurama. Next to impossible, and you still want to do this because I like to be in the spotlight? Naruto grinned, and he wants to make his girlfriend wet herself in all the right ways. Then, thin ice, Sasuke, you're on thin ice. I don't see why we can't at least try, Haku said. He smiled gently as both Kurama and Sasuke glowered at him. Haku, when did you go back to his side? Kurama demanded with a finger pointed at the beaming Naruto. That's two for my brilliant plan. Naruto grinned as he and Haku shared a high five. One, it's a stupid plan, Sasuke argued with a finger raised, and two, there's the same amount of people opposed to it as there are for it, so we're in a stalemate. That's because you're a non-believer. There was the faint knocking that got their attention. Curious, Haku went to the doorway and pulled the door open to find John with an acoustic guitar strapped over his shoulder. John's eyes were closed and he began to strum slightly over key. Why, darn it! Why do I keep forgetting that you guys are 4-3-2 and Ruby is in 4-2-3? John muttered with his head hung. He started to walk away when Naruto rushed out and grabbed him by the arm. Before he could argue, Naruto pulled John in and Haku shut the door with a smile on his face. Ha! 3 against 2! Naruto beamed at his two annoyed teammates. 3 against what? John asked. Kurama glowered at him. John, you like that guitar, right? Yes. Would you still like it if I broke it over your head? No. Didn't think so. Come here. Kurama pointed at the wall on the side with him and Sasuke. John quickly made his way over to their side, and the fauna smirked at the Whisker team. 3 against 2, Naruto. Oh, come on, that's scare tactics. You dragged him into it without telling him what or why. Semantics. Can I go now? John asked. No, Sasuke glared at him, and the leader of Juniper swallowed heavily. Oh, okay, John. Haku gained the room's attention as he smiled. You know I wouldn't break a guitar over your head, right? Yes. John nodded slowly. Right, I would clam it up your anus and pull it along with your intestines out of your mouth. Then I would proceed to feed you the stew that your innards and precious instrument would be made with. This was all said with a small smile on the feminine boy's face. It was then that John reminded himself that not only were the members of Team Nox the most loyal of friends one could have, but also the most terrifying ones imaginable. Trails of tears poured down his face as all 4 members looked at him intently. I just wanted to ask Wise out to the prom, he whimpered. The intent look became replaced with dry ones. Dude, seriously? Naruto asked. He threw a thumb over his shoulder. Sneeze doesn't like you. I'm fairly certain she's made it clear like 8 times. At least, Kurama agreed. Yeah, but maybe if we go out. John, trust me, when I say you're a good guy, Sasuke said as he put a hand on the blonde shoulders. You're a good leader, caring, and a great friend. No offense. And here comes the offense, John mumbled, but Weiss isn't waiting for the good guy friend to come in and sweep her off her feet. Sasuke crossed his arms over his chest. She's the heiress of a dust company, and boys have been using corny lines, stupid get-ups, and practically every cliche in the book to wear her down. What's your point? John asked. If you want Weiss to go out with you, ask her while being yourself, Haku suggested. Naruto nodded. Don't try to be her hero. Be the usual Zero. Ignore him. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. That's with another idiot. Kurama, I will punt you. Kurama ignored the threat and kept his gaze on John. PJ, listen to me. Don't set yourself up to fail because that hurts twice as much. Broaden your gaze. Ask your team what they think you should do before you go and make a fool of yourself. Again, all I got out of that is you think I'm making a fool out of myself by asking Weiss out? John said with a frown, like she's out of my league. She's not out of your league, but she is out of your reach, Kurama pointed out. Take a hint, John. This is a fight you probably won't win, and if you do, someone else will be hurt in the process. I thought you were an emotional virgin. Uchiha, shut up. John ignored the two and thought about Kurama's words. The foxtailed fondness had never steered him wrong thus far, even if there were a few moments that John wished Kurama had never witnessed. With sad eyes, John took the guitar off and set it aside. My dad said that all girls love confidence. John sighed. They also like to be treated equally and not like a prize, Sasuke said. He shrugged. A lot of guys 10 times better looking than us use that same philosophy, John, and it pays off for them because they're assholes and the women they date are most of the time mentally brain dead bombshells. Some people are more interested in appearance, money, and power more than they are in a personality. Weiss isn't one of those people, and I don't think you are either. If you do want to be with Weiss, hang out with her more, not on a date, but in a group. Be a friend, not a flirt, Naruto said with a nod. He grinned. Granted, Yang and I are an exception to that, but that's just how we are. Speaking of, you two seem closer, Kurama noted with a scrutinizing gaze locked on his partner. What did you two talk about on your night out together? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, Naruto grinned. John rubbed his head. Well, I guess maybe you've got a point. I'll still ask her to dance, but I don't see anyone asking me. No one asked Sasuke, Kurama, or Haku either. Naruto pointed out. He gestured to his partner. I mean, look at Haku. You think guys and girls would be lining up outside the door to ask him out? Naruto, stop talking. Haku groaned into a hand. What? You're pretty, dude. Don't deny it. He's got the figure. Would you like a dress, Haku? Kurama teased. I'm sure the girls will love it. Kurama, I will punt you. John watched the interaction with a smile. Though he was still terrified of the four boys and their threats, he was certain that they were the best friends one could ever ask for. Still, he should get feedback from Ren just to be safe. Ren was more attuned to dealing with girls than anyone, having Nora for a friend, not to mention he was probably the only sane male friend John had, maybe even the only sane friend he had. Back to the subject at hand, John's still on our side, so we're doing this thing. For the love of Naruto, no, he's not. Yes, he is. Haku's threat was way better than anything you two chuckleheads could come up with, so we win. John's smile waned as they started to bicker over who scared him the most. He nearly needed to get out of there before they started to actively try to scare him. End of chapter 15.